Hi guys, welcome to Ashok IT. My name is Ashok. Today we are going to start with new topic Docker plus Kubernetes plus Jenkins. So as part of this course, we are going to understand what is a Docker, what is a Kubernetes and Jenkins. So here, what are the prerequisites to attend this Docker, Kubernetes and Jenkins classes? The prerequisite is basics of Linux. So we are going to work with Linux operating system in order to set up Docker, Kubernetes and Jenkins software. So the prerequisites to attend this is basics of Linux. And coming to course content. So what we are going to learn as part of this Docker, Kubernetes and Jenkins. So first, let us see this Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins is very important for both developers as well as for DevOps engineers. Developers should know how to work with Docker, Kubernetes and Jenkins. At the same time, it is damn important for the DevOps engineers to work with Docker, Kubernetes and Jenkins. So prerequisites to attend this basics of Linux and what we are going to learn as part of this course content. So part 1, first we are going to learn Docker guys. First we are going to learn Docker. Then part 2, we will learn Kubernetes. So once we complete this Docker and Kubernetes, then in the part 3, we are going to learn Jenkins. Part 3, we are going to learn Jenkins. By using Jenkins, we are going to automate everything. So what we are going to learn in the Docker, so that we have documented as our syllabus document. So let me show you the syllabus document so that you will understand what we are going to cover as part of this Docker and Kubernetes, so that you will get more clarity. Let me show you the course content document. So here, first, we are going to start with the Docker. So in the Docker, we are going to learn what is the application stack, challenges with the deployment process. If you are developing a real project, so what are the problems that we are going to face when we are going to deploy that application? Then how people use it to work with the virtualization earlier, and what are the problems that we are facing with the virtualization? Then why we need to go for the containerization. So what is the Docker? So Docker is a containerization software. Before understanding the containerization, first we need to understand the virtualization. So what is virtualization? What are the problems with the virtualization? And what is the containerization? And why Docker is more famous in the market? Docker features and how to work with the Docker we are going to learn. Right. Then Docker installation. Here, I'm going to show you how to install the Docker in the Linux operating system. You can install the Docker in the Windows also, and we can install that in the Linux also. It supports multiple operating systems. But in the real time, we are going to operate the Docker on the Linux machines. So I'm going to show you Docker installation process. So installing the Docker, Docker service, stopping, uninstalling, ECS introduction, Elastic Container Service, how to use Docker from the AWS directly, that also we will discuss. Then we will learn Docker architecture. So how to work with the Docker, what is the Docker client, what is the Docker engine, Docker file, Docker images, Docker hub, Docker containers, Docker hub account creation, Docker version, Docker info, Docker help. These are the Docker commands that we need to learn. How to work with the images, how to work with the containers, how to push the image, how to pull the Docker image with the Docker registry. These are commands we are going to learn. Then we will see how to write a Docker file. This is the most important concept in the Docker. If you want to Dockerize any application, then you should write the Docker file. By using the Docker file, we are going to create a Docker image. By using the Docker image, we can create the Docker container, right? So we should know how to write a Docker file. So these are the keywords that we are going to use to write the Docker file. Then next one, Docker images, how to work with the images, how to create the images, how to remove the images. We are going to play with the Docker images here. Then we will play with the Docker containers, how to create a container, how to start the container, how to stop the container, how to check the logs of the container, how to troubleshoot the container issues. We are going to understand here. Then Docker values. If to make our container as a stateful container, we need to attach the container to a volume. So Docker volumes concept we are going to learn. Then Docker compose will be available. To run multiple containers, we are going to use Docker compose. Then Docker swarm for the orchestration purpose. So I want to create multiple containers. I want to scale up my containers. I want to scale down my containers. Those concepts we are going to discuss as part of Docker swarm. So these are the 10 points that we are going to learn in the Docker. Introduction, installation, architecture, Docker commands, and how to write a Docker file, and Docker images, Docker containers, Docker volumes, Docker compose, and Docker swarm. So with this, our Docker will be completed. Once the Docker is completed, then next we are going to start with Kubernetes, which is very important nowadays. So Kubernetes we are using for orchestration purpose, right? Containerization we are going to do by using Docker. Orchestration we are going to perform by using Kubernetes, right? So here, what is containerization? What is orchestration? What is the difference between the Docker and Kubernetes? What are the orchestration tools available? What are the advantages of the Kubernetes? We are going to learn. Then after Kubernetes introduction part is completed, then we need to understand Kubernetes architecture. So Kubernetes is going to follow cluster architecture. So master node will be available, worker nodes will be available, and the API server, scheduler, controller manager, etcd, kubelet, kubeproxy, pods, containers, kubectl. So Kubernetes architecture is very interesting topic that we are going to discuss. Once the Kubernetes architecture is completed, then we are going to understand Kubernetes environment setup. So how to install Kubernetes cluster in the Linux machine, how to work with single node cluster, how to work with a multi-node cluster, how to set up a high availability cluster, how to set up the cluster in the AWS cloud, that also we are going to understand environment setup. Then next one, we are going to understand the pods in the Kubernetes. In the Kubernetes, everything will be deployed as a pod. So what is pod? How to create the pod? What is the pod lifecycle that we are going to learn here? Then after Kubernetes namespaces. So namespaces is used to group the resources in the Kubernetes. Right, in the Java, we will use the packages concept. Similarly, in the Kubernetes, there is a concept called namespaces. Then Kubernetes services will be available. Whatever the applications we are deploying in the Kubernetes, to expose those applications, we need to bind the pods to the service. So there are 3 types of services in the Kubernetes. One is a cluster IP, second one is a node port, third one is a load balancer. So we are going to work with the services, and we are going to work with the Kubernetes objects, replication controller, replication set, right? Multi-selectors, daemon set, stateful set, deployment, rollout, rollback, right? And deployment strategies will be available. What is blue-green deployment? How to deploy our application to the production with 0 downtime. So when how to deploy our application to the production with the 0 downtime, that we are going to learn by using blue-green deployment. Sir, what is the 0 down deployment? Already my application is in the production. People are accessing my application. When people are accessing my application, I want to deploy the latest code into the production. Right? So without disturbing the existing application, how to deploy the latest code. So that's where we are going to use blue-green deployment strategy. Then how to do the auto scaling in the Kubernetes. So what is horizontal scaling? What is vertical scaling, right? So that what is busy box? how to increase the load on the application to see auto scaling is working or not. Then Kubernetes volumes we are going to discuss. Then the essential of the Kubernetes concepts, config maps, secrets, RBACs, taints, tolerations we are going to understand. Then EKS cluster, how to run the Kubernetes in the AWS cloud, and how to work with the Helm charts in the Kubernetes. Helm charts are used for managing the packages. So if you want to install any software in the Kubernetes cluster, then we will do that by using Helm chart, right? The next one, monitoring tools we are going to install to monitor our application and our cluster performance. So for that, Prometheus and Grafana, we are going to use as monitoring tools on the Kubernetes, and we are going to use EFK stack to monitor the logs of the application. To segregate logs monitoring on our application, we are going to use EFK stack. That is Elasticsearch, FileBeat, and Kibana. That also we are going to use to monitor application logs. Then after, we are going to see the project setup, how to deploy the project by using Docker and Kubernetes. So here we will see multiple projects. Java Spring Boot based project, we are going to see the deployment. Python Flask application deployment we will see, and Angular application, React applications also we are going to understand. And I will be providing interview questions on this Dockers and Kubernetes part. So this is only Dockers and Kubernetes content. So this Dockers and Kubernetes is having lot of demand in the market, and it is required for both developers as well as DevOps engineers. So once the Dockers and Kubernetes part is completed, then we are going to start with Jenkins part. We are going to start with Jenkins part. So what we are going to learn as part of the Jenkins? So as part of the Jenkins, we are going to understand what is Jenkins, why Jenkins, what is Jenkins, why Jenkins, what is CI/CD, so what is continuous integration and continuous deployment, Jenkins setup, how to install Jenkins, Jenkins setup. We can do this setup in the both Windows and the Linux also. Jenkins setup, Jenkins plugins management, how to install the plugins in the Jenkins, Jenkins plugins management, Jenkins jobs creation, Jenkins jobs creation, and user management in the Jenkins, user management in the Jenkins. And we are going to understand master slave architecture. What is the master slave architecture in the Jenkins? Master slave architecture in the Jenkins, and CI/CD pipelines. In what is pipeline in the Jenkins? What is CI/CD pipeline? What is CI/CD pipeline? Pipeline creation, declarative pipeline creation, declarative pipeline creation. So projects deployment by using Jenkins. Projects deployment using Jenkins. And finally, we are going to integrate all the tools with the Jenkins. Jenkins plus Docker plus Kubernetes deployment. Jenkins plus Docker plus Kubernetes deployment. That is what we are going to learn here. Good. What is Jenkins? Why Jenkins? What is CI/CD? Jenkins setup, Jenkins plugins management, Jenkins jobs creation, Jenkins jobs execution, user management in Jenkins. So which user should perform which operation in the Jenkins, we are going to understand. Master slave architecture, and what is the CI/CD pipeline, declarative pipeline creation, projects deployment using Jenkins, Jenkins plus Docker plus Kubernetes deployment also we are going to learn. So this is our course, guys. So 3 tools we are going to learn as part of this course: Docker plus Kubernetes plus Jenkins. The prerequisites, basics of Linux is required, and course content, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins. So here I have shown you what we are going to cover as part of Dockers and Kubernetes, a huge content. I can't type, guys. It will take a lot of time. So I'm showing the PDF. So if you want the course content document, you can download from our website. So I have given the link in the chat box to download the course content of Dockers and Kubernetes. So when you click on the link, you will get this page. Here you can click on download course content button. A PDF will open. You can save that PDF, right? Good. For the Jenkins, so here I have listed down what we are going to cover as part of Jenkins. Jenkins is a CI/CD software which is used to automate projects, build and deployment process. So Docker is called as containerization software. Docker is called as containerization software, which is used to simplify the application deployment process. And the Kubernetes is called as orchestration platform. Kubernetes is called as orchestration platform. So what are the containers we are creating by the Docker? To manage the Docker containers, we are going to use Kubernetes. Kubernetes we are going to call as orchestration platform. Then what is the Jenkins? Jenkins is to automate the build and deployment. So this is CI/CD server. Jenkins we can call it as CI/CD server, automate build and deployment process. Automate build and deployment process. Jenkins is a CI/CD software, or we can call it as a CI/CD server, which is used to automate build and deployment process of our application. Kubernetes is called as orchestration platform. It is used to manage Docker containers in the application. Then what is a Docker? Docker is called as containerization software. It is used to package our application as a container. Got it? Guys, are you able to understand? So what we are going to learn as part of this course? Are you able to understand what we are going to learn as part of this course? As part of this course, we are going to learn the Docker, Kubernetes, and Jenkins. Right. Now, in the real time, how an application will be deployed. In the real time, how an application will be deployed. So in the real time, dev team will be available who is going to develop the code. So whatever the code is done by the developers, that code will be integrated to a repository. So there a Git repo will be available, assume that, right? So dev team will develop the code and they will store their code into GitHub repository. Once the code is stored in the GitHub, then we need to take the code from the GitHub and we need to build that code and we need to deploy that code into server. Okay, guys. So here, in order to build that code, we are going to use one tool called Maven. In order to build that code, we are going to use a tool called Maven. So by using Maven, we can build that code. Maven is used for building that code. Assume that here I'm using Maven. So by using Maven, code will be compiled, code will be tested, and code will be packaged as a jar file or war file. Once code is packaged by using Maven, then immediately that code will be reviewed by using Sonar. Sonar software we are going to use as code review software. Once the code review is successful, then that code artifact will be uploaded to Nexus. So in the real time, we will use a server called Nexus server. So it is called as Artifactory server. Once the build is completed, a war file or jar file will be created. Then our code review will happen by using Sonar. Sonar will identify the developer's mistakes. What are the mistakes are done by the developers. Developers' mistakes can be identified by using Sonar. Once a Sonar review is completed, then we are going to upload that build artifact into Nexus server. So once the artifact is uploaded into the Nexus server, then Docker comes into picture. So we are going to create a package Docker container, Docker image we are going to create for our application. Once the Docker image is created, then that Docker image will be stored into Docker registry. Docker image will be stored into Docker registry. Right. Docker image will be stored into Docker registry. Once the image is stored into the Docker registry, then we will deploy that image into Kubernetes cluster. Right? Kubernetes we are going to use to run our application. So like this, several tools will be available in order to automate the build and deployment process of our application. Maven, Sonar, Nexus, Docker, Docker registry, and Kubernetes will be available. So here, GitHub is called as a version control software where the project source code will be stored. So here, developer will be available. These developers will communicate with the Git repository and they will store the code into Git repository. Once the code is stored in the GitHub repository, we need to take the latest code from the GitHub and we need to build and deploy that code. In order to do that build and deployment, earlier we used to perform that manually, but nowadays we are using a tool called Jenkins. Jenkins tool is heart of the DevOps. So Jenkins is the most important tool in the DevOps process because whatever the work that we are doing manually, everything will be automated by using this Jenkins. So here in the Jenkins, we are going to create a pipeline to build and deploy that code by integrating with all the tools. Jenkins will be integrated with all the tools here. So when I run the Jenkins pipeline, Jenkins will take the code from the GitHub repository and Jenkins will talk to Maven to build that code. So we no need to compile and package the code manually. Here, we are going to integrate Jenkins software with the Maven software. We are going to integrate Jenkins software with the Maven software and Maven will do the build of that project. Then Jenkins will be integrated with the Sonar software to perform the code review. Jenkins will be integrated with the Sonar software to perform the code review. Jenkins will be integrated with the Sonar software to perform the code review. So Sonar will review the code, will identify the mistakes in the code. Then Jenkins will integrate it with the Nexus repository to upload the project artifact into Nexus. So once that upload is completed, then Jenkins will integrate with the Docker to build a Docker image. So once the Docker image is created, then Jenkins will push that Docker image to Docker registry. Jenkins will push the Docker image to Docker registry. Once the Docker image is pushed to the Docker registry, then Jenkins is going to trigger Kubernetes deployment. So whatever the Docker image is available in the Docker registry, that a Docker image we will download into the Kubernetes and that application will be deployed into the Kubernetes cluster. So this is called as build plus deployment. So instead of we are doing that process manually, we are going to automate that process by using Jenkins, right? So first step, developers are going to write the code and the developers will push the code into repository. Developer will push the code into Git repository. Once the developer push the code into Git repository, then we need to trigger the Jenkins job. In the Jenkins job will be created, we will call that as a pipeline. We will call that as a pipeline. So Jenkins pipeline will be available, which is used to automate the build and the deployment. Once the developers are pushed that code into the GitHub repository, then we need to run our Jenkins job, Jenkins server. When we run the Jenkins server, Jenkins will pull the latest code from the Git repository. developers will push the code to the GitHub, then Jenkins job will be triggered. When the Jenkins job is triggered, Jenkins will take the latest code from the GitHub repository. Jenkins will take the latest code from the GitHub repository. So here, when the Jenkins is taking the GitHub code from the GitHub repository, when the Jenkins take the code from the GitHub repository, when the Jenkins take the code from the GitHub repository, it is going to interact with the Maven to automate that build process, right? So it is going to communicate with the Maven and it will compile the project and package the project. Once that Maven build is completed, then Jenkins will interact with the Sonar to perform the code review, right? So once the code review is completed, whatever the artifact is available, artifact will be uploaded to Nexus repository. So where the project build artifacts and remote repositories will be available. Build artifacts and remote repositories will be available. Those things will be stored into that. Those things will be stored into that. Got my point? Right. So once it is done, then Jenkins is going to communicate with the Docker in order to create a Docker image. To containerize our application, we are going to communicate with the Docker. So then that Docker image will be stored to Docker registry. Docker registry is a place where our Docker images will be stored. Once the images are stored in the Docker registry, then we are going to deploy that image into the Kubernetes. For that, Jenkins is going to communicate with the Kubernetes. So when the Jenkins will communicate with the Kubernetes for the deployment, Kubernetes will download the image from the Docker registry. So here, Kubernetes will download the image from the Docker registry and it is going to deploy that application on the Kubernetes cluster. So once the application is deployed in the Kubernetes cluster, people can access. In the real time, the project's deployment process will be available like this. So every tool will be integrated with the Jenkins. Jenkins is going to play the most important role in the DevOps. Jenkins is going to play the most important role in the DevOps. Got my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Come on, guys. Just observe step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what is the process that it is going to follow? Guys, are you clear with the flow? Yeah, fine, guys. So here, Docker is used for creating the images. So whatever the application that we want to deploy, that application will be packaged as a Docker image. That a Docker image we will store into Docker registry. Docker registry is a place where we are going to store the Docker images. Once the Docker image is stored into the Docker registry, then we are going to do the deployment into Kubernetes. So whatever the tools that I'm showing, so everything will be integrated and will show you the practical live deployment here. So I'm going to integrate Jenkins with all the tools and we are going to see the practical deployment process. Are you guys clear with my point? So first, developer will write the code and developer will store the code into GitHub repository. So once the developer store the code in the GitHub repository, then Jenkins is going to start. Jenkins' job is going to start. Jenkins' job is going to start, right? So what is Jenkins is going to do? Jenkins is going to take the latest code from Jenkins is going to take the latest code from Jenkins is going to take the latest code from Jenkins is going to take the latest code from GitHub. Jenkins is going to take the latest code from the GitHub and it is going to deploy that code here, right? So in order to build and deploy that code, so here we need to integrate the Jenkins with the several tools. We need to integrate Jenkins with the several tools, right? Fine. So what are the tools that we are going to integrate and what is the execution flow? What are the tools that we need to integrate and what is the execution flow, right? So first step, developers will communicate with the GitHub and developers will write the code and will store in the GitHub. Then Jenkins' job is going to trigger. Jenkins will take the latest code from the GitHub and Jenkins will talk to Maven. So Maven is going to build that code. Then Jenkins will talk to Sonar to perform the code review. Then Jenkins will talk to Nexus to upload the artifact into Nexus repository. Then Jenkins will talk to Docker. Docker is a containerization software. We'll understand what is the Docker. I will explain the introduction for the Docker. For a time being, let's understand the execution flow. Jenkins will integrate with the Docker. Docker is going to package our application as a Docker image. So the Docker image contains application plus application dependencies. Once the Docker image is created, Jenkins will deploy that Docker image to Docker registry. Docker registry is a place where Docker images will be stored. Docker registry is a place where Docker images will be stored. Then once the Docker image is stored, then that image we are going to deploy in the Kubernetes. Sir, can I use Kubernetes without Docker? No. To work with the Kubernetes, Docker is mandatory. To work with the Kubernetes, Docker is mandatory. So Docker image should be created, that a Docker image will store in the registry. Then we are going to deploy that image in the cluster. So Kubernetes cluster. When we are deploying that in the Kubernetes cluster, it will download the image from the Docker registry. So Kubernetes cluster will be available to run our application. Got my point? So anybody having any questions, you can ask now. You can unmute your mic. You can ask in this flow. Do you have any questions? What is a Docker? What is Kubernetes? I have not explained as of now. I will explain that. So before going to start understanding the Dockers and Kubernetes first, are you able to understand where we are going to use them in the real time? They are used for application execution purpose. They are used for application deployment purpose. Got my point? Now, so this total course is going to take around 25 days of time. Docker plus Kubernetes plus Jenkins. 25 to 30 days of time it is going to take to understand the complete Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, and the deployment process. Complete 3 tools. We are going to take 1 month of time.
Hello, sir. Sir,
Yep.
good morning, and really thanks a lot. Sir, I already a student of Mahesh's batch, and that batch is from 6 to 7 actually, but
Okay.
it's some extending for 7:30 actually. So I requested today Mahesh sir to at least it will be closed from 5:45 to 7 a.m. So
Sure,
he
sir.
told that he will talk with you, and because I'm wanted to join for this class also.
Sure, sir. I will talk to him and I will update on that.
I already registered for multi-threading also for Karthik sirs, but actually the time is overlapping. That is a 6 to 7. So I'm referring the recording actually.
Sure, sir. Sure, sure.
And second thing, sir, this flow which you are explained in the numbers, that these numbers, if for each numbers, there will be the means in the brief in the
Yeah,
notepad.
we will give the, I will write the notes also. Today is the first session, right? Just I'm giving the introduction. So every day the running notes will be available. I will create the notes step by step. I will share that notes also.
Okay, and suppose some portion will be not covered, then you can extend this class for further also, but it will be covered in the brief in all these things.
Right.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, hi, guys.
Hello. Hi, sir.
Yes,
Are you
sir.
able to hear me? Yes,
Yep.
sir. Actually, I have a question. I mean, like a concern on this one. You said that Linux would be required for this one, right? Would you be helping us for, I mean,
Yes,
like
I
kind
will
of
tell, I
installing
will help
Linux?
you. I will help you how to set up that Linux machine.
Great. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
I will share the document also. You can create, basically you will create a free account in the AWS. In the AWS, we will set up that Linux machine, which is required for us.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Yeah,
So
hi,
someone
sir.
is asking, sir, can we learn the Kubernetes directly without Docker? As I told you guys, to work with the Kubernetes, Docker is mandatory. Without Docker, we can't use the Kubernetes. And without Kubernetes, we can use the Docker, but without Docker, we can't use the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is the orchestration platform. Kubernetes mainly used to manage the Docker containers only. So to learn the Kubernetes, Docker is mandatory.
Yeah, hi, sir.
Hello?
Hi, sir. Where to have to pay fees for this?
Sorry?
And where to have to pay fees for this?
Yeah, I will tell you the details, sir. I will tell you the details.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good. So as I told
Hi,
you,
Ashok.
yeah, hi,
In this
madam.
process, Apache Tomcat server won't come in picture. I mean, in this end-to-end flow kind of thing.
So Apache Tomcat will come into picture, but we don't need to install that software. So the main purpose of going for the Docker is going to take care of all the softwares that are required for our application.
Okay. Thank you, Ashok.
Ashok, there is no knowledge required of Maven or Apache or SonarQube.
The basic knowledge is required, sir. Basically, this is a DevOps batch. We already completed Maven, Sonar, Nexus. We are starting.
Yeah, in general purpose in the IT company, the Tomcat and Apache, they will be installing. We need to have knowledge, but the installation will be done by them. Na?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Sir, we are going to deploy our project on, this Tomcat or this Kubernetes clusters.
Kubernetes cluster. In that Kubernetes cluster, Docker will use the Tomcat to run our application. So here we no need to deploy that application into the Tomcat manually. We are going to package that as a Docker. Docker will take care of the server that is required to run our application. We no need to set up the server manually. Docker will take care of that. Once I give the introduction for the Docker, then you will understand how the deployment is going to happen.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, hi Ashok, this is Nagarjuna.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, actually last 15 days back, I took the videos on Docker and Kubernetes. Now,
Right.
Actually, I'm eligible to join.
Yes, you can attend.
Or not.
You can attend that, sir. You can attend.
Yeah, okay. How will be the Jenkins now? How do I pay the Jenkins amount like that? Actually, I have paid the 5,000. So you.
Yeah. remaining 3,000 you can pay. It is total, guys. So as I told you, the course is covering 3 tools here: Docker, Kubernetes plus Jenkins. Now you already understood the course content and you understood what we are going to do as part of this course. As part of this course, we are going to see this practical, how to integrate all the tools and how to automate our application build and deployment by using Jenkins, Docker, and Kubernetes. So this course duration is approximately 30 days. Assume that it is going to take 1 month of time. So for all the 3 tools, 1 week for Docker, 10 days for Kubernetes, and 1 week for Jenkins, right? So total it is going to take 1 month of time for this course. And so here live classes will be available, plus backup videos also will be provided. The backup videos access will be there for 6 months, right? And the course fees is 8,000. So course duration is 1 month. And in this 1 month, we are going to understand 3 tools mainly. And the live classes will be available and backup videos will be available with the 6 months access. And the course fees will be 8,000 rupees, including live classes plus backup videos. Good.
Sir, I have a question.
Live classes and running class notes also will be provided. I have already prepared the class notes for this, guys. So let me show you the notes that I have prepared. So for the Docker and Kubernetes, we prepared the complete notes also. So here, this is the Docker notes. So what is application development? Complete the end-to-end, the Docker notes is already prepared, including the setup and including the commands. So everything is already documented step by step. We are going to share this Docker live notes as well. Same thing for Kubernetes also, we have prepared the notes and we are going to share these notes. So these notes will be used as a reference when we are practicing the Docker. So how to execute a command, how to install that Spring Boot application with MySQL database. So, and how to deploy that application, networking, and how to work with the Docker Swarm also we are going to learn here, networking commands, all the things we are going to learn. Notes is already ready. We will share that notes. Same thing.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Sir, if I am a developer, I don't have that much exposure to Sonar, Cube, and Nexus. So do I have to learn that first in order to understand this, or it will be taken
No, it's
care
not
of?
required, sir. It's not required for you. If you learn them, that is good. If you're not required, that is not mandatory now.
Okay, sir.
It is not mandatory now, right? If you learn them, that's good. So as a developer, definitely you will have idea on the Maven and Sonar, right?
Good morning, Mr. Ashok.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Sir, I want to enroll for one of the courses of yours. First one is this, and second one is your general AWS DevOps course. So if I compare both the content of these 3, so Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes.
Yep.
Our journal course, I want to choose in between 2 courses of
Sir,
yours.
basically, this whatever the course that you are attending, it is a running DevOps batch. In the DevOps batch, we have already completed these tools. Those DevOps students are also available in the batch. These tools are already completed. Now for them, I am starting these tools, right? So
Okay.
part 1 is completed. Now part 2 is started. It is ongoing DevOps batch. So we have started this Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes because some people are looking for only these 3 tools. So that's why we are announcing that as a new batch. It is a running DevOps batch only. In this batch, already we completed Git, Maven, Sonar, Nexus. Now we are going to start with Docker, Kubernetes, and Jenkins.
Okay.
So once this Jenkins, Docker, and Kubernetes is completed, then we will start the AWS. In that, we are going to cover Terraform, Ansible, and AWS.
Okay. And related to monitoring part of this, so are we going to cover up the Grafana also?
Yes, coming to the monitoring part. Here I'm going to cover Prometheus and Grafana. And I'm going to cover EFK. EFK nothing but Elasticsearch, FileBeat, and Kibana. So these Elasticsearch, FileBeat, and Kibana we are using for log aggregation. Prometheus and Grafana we are using for Kubernetes cluster monitoring. Right.
Yes.
We are going to cover
this is a part of course, right?
Right. It is part of the course. When we are working with the Kubernetes, then definitely we need to work with these tools also for monitoring purpose. This is also part of the course. So now you are going to learn this area.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Means
So
we are going to use Minikube for Kubernetes.
I will give you multiple options to set up the Kubernetes. Minikube setup you can do, or you can do EKS setup, you can do KubeADM setup. Multiple options are there. I will discuss multiple options to set up the cluster. Whichever is comfortable for you, that you can use. But in the real time, mostly people will use EKS cluster, which is which is highly recommended to run the Kubernetes, that is EKS in the AWS. In the real time, people
so
will
we
work
are
on
going to
this
use
cluster. Yeah.
We are going to use EKS, right?
Right. We will use that EKS.
Okay.
So, sir, when we say that we are starting this three things only, so how we are going?
1 minute, sir. Satish Kumar, you misunderstood this. Kubernetes cannot run without Docker. Docker images are mandatory to run the Kubernetes, right? So Docker images directly you can run without Kubernetes also, but without Docker images, Kubernetes cannot do anything. For Docker, Kubernetes is not mandatory. For Kubernetes, Docker is mandatory. You understood in the reverse manner. So I can create the Docker image for my application. I can run that image directly by using Docker and I can access my application. So instead of I am running the images manually, I will automate that by using Kubernetes. So to run our application in the Kubernetes, the Docker image is mandatory. Okay, good. Yeah, someone is asking a question. Please go ahead.
Sir, I was asking that Maven, Sonar, and Nexus. So how we are going to cover up? So are you going to share the videos
Guys, I'm
of that?
telling you, this course is only for this area. I told
Okay.
you that, right? Those tools are already completed.
Okay.
If you take the full DevOps course, you will get the backup videos for that. In this course, I'm going to cover only Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, but integration I will show with these tools also.
Okay.
If you want that videos, I can provide that.
Okay, and one more thing related, because I'm working professional. So somewhere, if I miss the live class, so will we get the video for that class also?
I already told that, right? Backup video will be provided.
Thank you, sir. So just I'm awaiting the payment information. So
Sure.
once you share that, so we will make the payment.
So tomorrow you can attend the class with the same Zoom link. After attending 2 classes, 3 classes, you can do the payment, no issues.
Okay, so 7 o'clock is the class time.
Yeah, daily class will be there from 7 to 8:15, 8:15 to 8:30. Doubts clarification will be there. 7 to 8:30 is the class timing.
So for tomorrow class, I can join with this URL only.
Right, right.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cho.
Thank you.
Sir, we are going to store
Docker images we can store in the Nexus also. Docker images we can store in the Docker registry also. Docker images we can store in the Amazon ECR also. Multiple places we can store the Docker images.
So Linux operating system is mandatory?
Yes, sir. It's mandatory.
So how means I have an in my personal laptop Windows are there.
Yeah, no problem, sir. I will tell you how to set up that. We will create a AWS account. In the AWS account, we are going to do that setup. So please download the mobile app. In the mobile app, I will give the document to create the AWS account, so that today you guys can complete the AWS account creation, so that tomorrow I will show you how to create a Linux machine in that.
Okay, sir. I have already using your app and I will check, sir, your notes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Ashok, actually here we can, you're going to build on the AWS or Azure also?
Well, I will build on the AWS, sir.
Okay. So if you don't mind, AWS and Azure will be the same thing or any modifications is there?
No, sir. Both 2 different clouds from the 2 different companies, right? So
yeah, correct.
99% the concepts will be same.
Okay. Only naming terminology or
naming terminology will be different. Billing cycle will be different. That's it.
Okay. So
the remaining parts will be same.
Yeah, you see, if I can learn the Azure also. That is also fine.
Yes, right. You can do that.
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
Hello. Ashok.
Yeah. Hello.
Vanita here.
Yeah. Hi, Vanita.
This is related to a couple of previous classes.
Yeah.
Related to Spring Boot application. You have shared us a link related to Spring Boot application, correct?
Right.
So normally, in general, how do we create an Spring Boot application?
Spring Boot application creation that we can do, there is a direct website or IDEs are available to create the Spring Boot applications. Developers will do that application creation. Right? If you want to know how to create that application, there is a website called start.spring.io. In that website, directly we can create the application and we can download that. Here you can choose a Java, which version of the Spring Boot you want to use, what is group ID, what is artifact ID, what is packaging type, which version of Java, what are the dependencies you want to add for the Spring Boot. You can add the dependency and click on generate. Then that Spring Boot application will be downloaded as a zip file. You can extract that and you can see the pom.xml and you can do the Maven build for that.
Okay.
So this process, DevOps engineers will not create this project because you don't know what the dependencies are required. So that is developer activity.
Okay.
So developers will create the project. They will write the code. They will store the code into GitHub. Once the developer's code is stored in the GitHub, then the DevOps duty is going to start.
Okay. So we don't involve into that.
No.
Creation. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Another question. Oh,
Yeah.
1 second. Another question, like we have used a Tomcat server, right? We have deployed an application called Flipkart and Amazon here from the Windows. So can we do that from Linux as well?
Yes, I will show you that. So I will show you that how to do the deployment in the Linux. So from now onwards, we no need to use the Tomcat also because Docker will take
is there.
care of all the softwares which are required to run our application.
Okay.
So that's the reason Docker is called containerization platform. Tomorrow you will get full clarity on what is Docker and what are the advantages of the Docker.
And also, Ashok, can you show us how to normally when we use Linux, we create a separate Git repository, I mean new Git repository, and then we'll push the files, right? Can you also show us how to push to the existing repository that is available?
Sure.
Okay. That's it. Thanks.
Sir, I'm having one question.
Yes, sir, please.
See, as you told, we are going to use Kubernetes for deployment purpose.
Yeah.
So, in that terms, like, we are going to use EC2 instances also to deploy for this purpose.
Yes.
With the Kubernetes.
When you want to set up the Kubernetes cluster, when we create the Kubernetes cluster, definitely it will use EC2 instances to run the cluster. 3 EC2 instances we are going to use. 1 EC2 instance we are going to use as a control plane, and the remaining 2 instances we are going to use as worker nodes, and 1 more EC2 instance we will use as a client. Total 4 machines are required to run the Kubernetes cluster. In the real time also the cluster.
Yeah. So are we also going to install the Kubernetes on our local machine for practicing, or only?
Yes, you can do that. I will show you. That is what I told you. I will show you multiple options to work with the Kubernetes. We can install the Kubernetes Minikube in the Windows and you can do the practice. Right?
Okay. Sure.
And I will show you in the Linux also.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Are we going to have one mini project in which we can do all these 1 to 10 part?
Not one project. We are going to work with 3 to 4 projects. Because one project I will work with Java, one project I will work with Python, one project with Angular, one project is a full stack Spring Boot plus Angular project, Spring Boot plus React.js project integration. So complete real environment I'm going to show here.
And what about the database part, sir? Is it going to be in the Docker itself? I mean,
if you want, you
project require the database.
If you want, you can manage the database in the AWS, or you can create the database by using Kubernetes itself. I will show you both options.
Okay, sir.
So in real time, we are using microservices for this deployment purpose, right?
Correct.
So
that microservice yes, we are going to show you that microservice deployment. After completion of this 1 month of course, you can say that you have 3 to 4 years experience on the Dockers and Kubernetes. That much content you will see.
Okay, so do we have any touch of microservices? Things like queue, messaging queue, or something, means some kind of
messaging queue that is not part of our syllabus as of now. If time permits, I will integrate that messaging queue as well.
Okay.
So I will show you microservices deployment for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Sir, is there an option to get your? Is there an option to get your these previous videos of this one?
No, sir. You will attend the live classes. After the class is completed, then you will get that video. Because if
I mean,
do
like
the previous videos, then you will get confused. So after this class is completed, within 24 hours, video will be uploaded.
Ashok, after this course, will we get any sample resume?
What
We
I'm
will
telling
give
is
you resume, we will give you
about
interview questions, and everything will be provided.
Okay, thank you.
Right, good.
Sir, any DevOps, AWS DevOps course coming soon?
It will take another 1 month or 2 months of time, sir. So currently it's not in the pipeline. So it may take another 1 to 2 months to start my DevOps course. It is ongoing DevOps batch only. My DevOps students already there in this batch. For them, as I told you, Git, Maven, Sonar, Jenkins already completed. Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes is pending for them that. So these are the tools we are going to learn from tomorrow. So tomorrow I will start the introduction part for the Docker.
Sir, any evening batch for DevOps?
What is the duration for this course, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes?
Sorry?
What is the duration for this course?
1 month, sir. 1 month is the duration, 8,000 is the fees. Live classes plus backup videos.
Okay, so you will use the all.
Saturday, Sundays also class is available, or how will be?
Monday to Saturday classes will be there.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
Yeah,
sir, where can we get this backup videos for previous sessions like Git repo and Maven, Sonar, Nexus, all these tools?
Yes, sir. Then you need to purchase the DevOps course, which is 16,000.
Yeah, I have already purchased for DevOps course, sir. AWS DevOps course. And
send a mail to ashokitschool@gmail.com. Admin team will give the access for that.
okay, sir. Thank
you. Hello.
This is our mail ID. I'm sending in the chat box. Right.
Hello,
sir, after this tools, 3 tools are completed, then AWS is going to start. After Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes completed, AWS will start. After AWS is completed, Terraform and Ansible is going to start.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir, last time you mentioned in one of the demo that there would be a 6 p.m. DevOps batch which is coming up by you. So any idea when that is?
No, sir. Currently it is not there, sir. My slot is not available now.
Okay. So next DevOps will also be in the same slot, 7 a.m.?
I mean, not sure.
Okay.
Timing is not fixed yet.
Okay.
Sir, this AWS Ansible also part of your complete DevOps course, or
Correct.
it's separate one?
It's part of the AWS DevOps course.
Okay, so if I get the package, that will cover both this and that, right?
If you get the package of 16,000, then you will get
Okay.
all these tools, AWS plus Terraform plus Ansible.
Okay, sir. Okay, fine. So for that, what should I want to do? I need to mail your this one.
Yes, right. Yeah, I have given the mail ID. If you mail it, then you will get the complete DevOps package.
Okay, sir. Fine. Thank you.
The complete DevOps package is 16,000 for live classes plus backup videos.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Sir, are we going to learn Gradle or not?
Gradle we will cover. Gradle I have not explained. Only Maven is explained. Gradle I will
Yes.
explain in the coming sessions as a workshop.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah. I think
Does it,
1 month back, I conducted a workshop on the Gradle. The video also uploaded to YouTube. Very recently, just 1 month back only, I conducted a Gradle workshop.
does your AWS classes helps to clear the AWS certification?
Yes, sir. You can do that certification. Cloud practitioner, you can do it. And for solution architect, you need to do some more practice. I will share the dumps for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. So I think we are good for today. So today we understood what is our course and how many days it is going to take, what is the cost, and what we are going to learn as part of this. So from tomorrow, we are going to start our Docker. So don't miss the tomorrow session. Tomorrow is the first session on the Docker. The introduction we are going to understand for the Docker.
What is the duration?
Same
1
time,
month.
sir.
1 month. Yeah, same time, 7 to 8:30 class will be available daily. Same timing, 7 to 8:30. Same Zoom link.
No different times are available.
Sorry?
No different times are available.
No, sir. Only 7 to 8:30.
7 to 8:30.
AM IST.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, right, guys.
Sir, 7:15 to 8:15 can you do? Actually, I told you some are students are in previous batch 6 to 7 batch already we have.
I will check that, sir. I will check that. I will update you.
Please, sir. I humbly request you.
Yeah,
Please
sure.
try to. Hello.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
7 to
Please try
8:30,
to
sir.
shift this timing, this course availability.
Sorry?
Please try to shift this course only Docker and Kubernetes course. Any other time?
No, sir, we can't shift it because it is ongoing DevOps batch. So those people will be affected. So I can't change the time. 7 to 8:30 is the fixed timing for this batch.
Okay, okay, okay.
As I told you, this is ongoing my DevOps batch, so I can't change the time.
Early morning, I need to attend this one.
Ashok sir,
Yeah.
from today I see there's a AWS course starting by Mr. Ravindra.
Yes,
How
sir.
is that AWS course different from the AWS DevOps?
Sir, in the AWS course, only AWS services will be explained, Ansible will be explained, Terraform will be explained. In the DevOps with AWS, DevOps tools, what are the tools you have seen, right? These tools will not be explained in the AWS course. Whatever the tools that I have shown you here, these tools will not be covered in the AWS. AWS means pure cloud related, they are going to explain.
I got it. Okay.
So DevOps plus AWS means these tools plus AWS will be covered. AWS means only AWS concepts will be covered.
I got it. Thank you.
Right. Perfect. Good, guys. Thank you. Thanks for today. So we'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll start with our actual sessions on the Docker. So if anybody don't have the mobile app downloaded, please download. I will give the link to set up the AWS account so that you can create the virtual machines to set up our Docker, Jenkins, and Kubernetes. Linux machine is mandatory. So how to set up that Linux machine? I will give that information in our mobile app. Right. I gave the app link in the chat box. Please download that. Thanks for today. We'll meet tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.